Hey everybody, good afternoon. Welcome to the stream. It's me, DIGI Driver, and we are getting back into scenery development in Microsoft Flight Simulator. We are back at Lafayette Regional Paul Fournet Field. This is Kilo Lima Foxtrot Tango, and I am continuing to build out the runways before I get started on taxiways and other ground markings as I continue to build out the airport with the latest Bing imagery available through the MSFS Map Enhancement mod. I've been working on this for about the past, I'd say, 2 weeks or so, and I am trying to get this done in a reasonable amount of time before I get on to the Blender and object placement portions of the endeavor. I've been trying to get myself back into a scenery development mode for a little while now, and honestly, I think I'm starting to make some traction, but it does also take a little bit of commitment and dedication, so that's what I'm pushing for right now. Two-Face Disc, welcome back, my friend. Very happy to have you along. Hope you enjoy the MSFS ASMR sounds of the ambience, the environment. I am going to get started by taking a look at this runway, which is a kind of interesting runway for this airport. Let me go ahead and check out the project on flightsim.to. Flightsim.to does not have my upload yet because there is none, but I am going to take a look at the sceneries requests page for this. It doesn't look like anyone's actually stepped up to accept the request other than the comment that I left for it. So I'm continuing my work. I also have a profile on flightsim.to, so if in case you're interested and you want to follow along, I will give you the links for the profile where I think you can see my project posts, and that's that link. And then the sceneries request page is this link where somebody can actually accept the request and upload something. I mean, everybody else is welcome to upload something if that's what they want to do. But at the same time, I know I'm working on it for the sake of my friends online. And what else was I looking for? I was looking for probably the the Sky Vector or the AirNav page. So let me look up the ICAO code for Lafayette Regional. And AirNav and Sky Vector both usually have information about the runways, what runways are in operation and whatnot. So 4 left and 22 right is actually closed for a portion of the day. They're closed from 22:30 through 0530. So that would mean that they're closed from 6:30 through 1:30 in the morning. Sounds about right. Yes, actually. Yeah, that makes sense. So this is going to be an interesting and a little bit weird thing, but again, so has what most of the development I've done on this runway. I'll give you, for instance, this runway actually is usable. This is runway 11 and 29er. As far as I can tell, this has the least number of markings on a runway I've ever designed. And I've used stock textures for this using certain techniques and layering. So now we're going to dress up this runway, which is actually in use, but for some reason looks like it got taken offline for a little while. So this runway actually is in use, it's just they decide when it is and when it isn't in use. So we're going to put a runway down, and we're going to open up our runways section. That way we can keep track of all our objects and the editing that we're doing. a long time ago when I got started doing scenery development work in MSFS, I didn't use groupings, and it just resulted in very messy projects. So I'm trying to use groupings now to help me stay on top of everything that I'm building so that I don't have to think very hard about stuff like that. So we're going to create, what did we do? Oh yeah, we're going to create this. And 2 left, 4 right. We're going to say 2 right, 4 left. And let's rename it. 2 right, 4 left. Primary is going to be the top facing, but we'll figure it out. Do you need help? The heading for this runway is going to be 216 or 219er. I guess we'll see which one's the more pleasing one. Looks like 219er is going to be it. Also, this is going to be 23 meters wide. So let's go ahead and take this out to its logical end on both sides. And it is textured. They do get started by being textured, but I'm usually going to be the one that actually blanks out the textures and then retextures them. Okay. Yeah, so it's a little bit over what the actual length of the runway is, but I'm going to go ahead and fix that shortly. I'm also going to start by making it transparent. That way I can really get a gander at where it's being placed. Actually, that looks pretty good right now, except for a slight replacement that I need to do, which it looks like I just did. I would say this is probably going to be as good an initial placement as I might get. And because it's transparent, I'm not going to worry too much about nailing the placement down. So, that works. And to get this out of the way, I'm going to edit the start positions. No polygons. Go back to the runway, please. Thank you. There we go. A little bit weird for the initial placement, but whatever. I need to take a look at how that runway is laid out. Okay, good. The runway goes right onto the right over where the taxiways are, where Foxtrot and Lima are. So that makes sense. Let's go ahead and continue. And now we're going to adjust the angle . Okay, so 39 degrees, that's actually pretty good. So the reciprocal of that would be 219 for the heading. I'll try to remember that. And this is basically a general aviation only runway, as far as I know. Or at least that's my best guess anyway. And that should do it. Excuse me. Let's drink some water, flavored water here. That's better. So welcome aboard, everybody. Thanks for joining me today. If you're lurking, thank you for the lurk. Thanks for boosting the algorithm. If you are not lurking and you like to say hi, I'll take your hi. If you are neither, that's okay. I am doing development in Microsoft Flight Simulator. I have been doing development in Microsoft Flight Simulator for about the past 2.5 years at this point, which is crazy when I stop to think about it, but at the same time, is what it is. So I think those two angles are good for primary start position placement, and we will clean this up as we go. So with those two runway starts taken care of, what I can do now is beginning to look at the runway and analyze what kinds of markings and things it comes with. I don't care about latitude, longitude, precise placement, because most of it is just visual for me. Traffic pattern on runway 4 left is left. So let me just double check something again. What is the primary? The primary is 22 right. So with 22 right, the traffic pattern is going to go to the right. With 4 left, the traffic pattern is going to go to the left. So let me double check something really quickly. I'm going to take a look at 22 left and 4 right. 22 left and 4 right. With 22 left, traffic pattern is interesting. With 22 left, show me the runway start again. Let's see what primary is. Let's see what primary is. Should be on this end. Yes, so primary is 22 left. With 22 left, the pattern is left. And 4 right is right. But didn't I just read that with 4 left and 22 right? No. Interesting. I got myself tripped up. Okay. With 4 left, the pattern is left. And with 22 right, the pattern is right. Okay, so those traffic patterns are designed not to cross each other. That's a very good thing. So we'll keep that way. Only one more scenery dev stream? Sag. Not only what you get what I mean. Welcome aboard, my friends. Hi, Nathan's Plains. Good to see you once again, my friend. Folks, if you are unaware, and once again, I have to blame my poor manners for this, my friends Two-Faced Disc 799, Nathan's Plains, and Kev Mikwa, who I like to call Kev, are all flight sim streamers that stream at different points throughout the week, sometimes different weeks throughout the month, and they provide flight sim content.
Final approach checklist complete.
The Maverick Mike, hello, welcome aboard, and Iowa Scotsman, appreciate having you stop by and dropping that tier 1 sub. Appreciate your support. Thanks for coming back to the Digi crew. We are at Lafayette Regional, Paul Fournier Field. I'm using latest Bing imagery because I want to build up this terminal. But first things first, in order for us to add meaningful objects, we first need to make sure that the groundwork is laid. And that's literally what I'm doing today. So markings markings I need to pay attention to because I'm working off of the Navigraph information that Mwendo graciously, I think, uploaded for me to the requests page. Sometimes different years throughout the decade. Yeah, I respect that too. So let's start adding some markings to this so that we can actually get this settled. Materials, this is transparent right now, so I don't care. Markings, I think we're going to apply edge markings, I think, unless we don't care about edge markings. Do we care about edge markings? I don't think they have any. I'm checking. Surface is asphalt in fair condition. We'll texture that up. Declare distance markings, non-precision markings. Okay, so we have 2 light pappies. And we have runway end identifier lights on both ends. This actually reminds me of something. I want to double check my runway setups because the lights need to be accurate. Approach lights. Okay, on both sides for 11 and 29er. And runway end identifier lights on 4 right but not 2 left, probably because it already has an instrument landing system. Oh, because it's using MALSR. Okay, so for these guys we have REIL systems on both ends for 2 right and 4 left. So we'll make sure we put these in before we forget. Primary and secondary, and we're going to do REILs on both ends. And we're going to take 2 light pappies. Where are they? Oh, they're under the VASI section. I've had sim crashes in the past. I think what usually happens for me though is it's more likely for me to have a sim crash if I try to get started in an airport and there's too much stuff loading in. So I'm fortunate and blessed to not have experienced too many of those. Praise Yahweh. And I also don't have my texture resolution set very high. I think it's at medium right now. And I think that helps my VRAM not get used that much. So primary and secondary for 4 left and 2 right are both 2 light pappies with a 3-degree light path. And I don't care about the position. Are they on the right side? Oh, no, they're on the left. They're on the left. Okay. So let's do the secondary left VASI is going to be 2 lights. And we'll get to editing those in a bit. Actually, Nathan, you mentioned RAM overclocking, and the interesting thing for me was, for some reason, even though the RAM that I got on my first RAM purchase for this computer was actually rated at a higher speed, my motherboard did not want to run it at a certain speed. It was literally crashing when I tried to overclock it. So I just left my RAM alone and let the Precision Boost Overdrive on my AMD Ryzen handle the bulk of overclocking and speed up stuff, and I've been happy as a clam ever since. Although I am probably coming up on a teardown where I replace the thermal paste on my CPU. I usually try to do it once a year, and it's probably not a bad idea for me to do it or consider it very soon. I'm going to make some educated guesses as to the markings here, so we're going to call this a representation and not the real deal. I think we want threshold markings as well. That's what it looks like to me. And they're pretty close to being bang on, which is crazy. Hold on. I'll take that. And fixed distance markings. I think these are the ones that show up there. That's beautiful. I don't think we need too many other markings at this point other than center line, which I'm not sure if this is going to work real well, but honestly, I'm not going to worry about it too much. The only thing that I would probably edit about this might be whether or not the... No, the threshold markings show up precisely where they need to be. It's just that this is kind of out of place, but I don't care. I'm not going to worry about that much. Number and designator at the end, and we're going to configure these because they need to be 4 left and 2 to right. So we will hide VASI and approach lighting and then go back to configuration. So primary designator 2 to right and secondary designator is left. There we go. So 4 left. That's it. Don't worry about the yellow X. That's going to go away because this runway is in use. I'm not going to worry about that. We're going to be overriding this anyway. And we got edging, we've got threshold, we've got fixed distance markers. There's only going to be 2 of them apparently. That's okay. I'm not going to freak out about that. And let me save as I go. And what else do we have? Not that much. Let me go ahead and look at AirNav and see what they say. So we have 2 light pappies on the left side of each of the runway entrances, or I should say, for each runway end, we have 2 light pappies on the left. Touchdown point, yes, with no lights. What does that mean? Does that mean that I add a touchdown point? Can I even see it? Honestly, there doesn't appear to be one. I think this runway is weird enough that it actually doesn't show up that way. And I don't think there's any threshold on either side. So I'm not going to worry about the touchdown point. I think the fixed distance marker is going to be the touchdown point for any GA pilot that's flying a plane into the airport. And considering the size and the width of that runway, I would imagine you wouldn't be flying anything bigger than, say, a Cessna 172 or even, potentially even a Cessna Caravan is going to be too big for a runway like that. So we're going to go ahead and move on. Do we have lighting on that runway? We probably do not, but let me double check. I'm checking. Oh, so Kev, you think you might have figured out what was causing those crashes in the past? Because if so, great. Sucky that you might have to replace some parts, but also great knowing. Why can't I see whether or not these runways have edge lighting? Probably because it's on the Sky Vector site. Let's see. Okay, edge lighting, high intensity. Yep, okay, I have to use Sky Vector. Edge lighting, medium intensity. Interesting. Interesting. Medium intensity. Do we have any lighting going down the middle? I'm going to go ahead and say probably not. Considering how the runway is probably going to be closed during dusk hours or prime time dusk hours, I'd say yeah. Non-precision, fair condition. And glide slope indicator, Pappy's to left, obstacles. I would say I'm not going to worry about centerline lighting for the tinier runway. And I think that's all I need to do for lighting on this runway. So what we can do is probably apply a similar code to what we did to this runway. So the master surface layer is generic 3 cracked, which you kind of can't tell. Oh, that's because that's the edge. I see. And we're not really going to have much of an edge outside of what's on this runway. So the runway is asphalt generic 3. So we're going to apply that to right. So let's create a new apron. We're going to create an apron group. But you know what? I think we have to create the apron first. So let's build the basic object, default, one-click placing. Here we go. And this is the master layer. Right about here. Oh, yeah, for sure, Kev. I mean, like, I'm gonna say this until I get tired of saying this. Listen, streaming Flight Sim on Twitch was what introduced me to the idea of really enjoying my flight sim hobby. But the real point in the long run was making and keeping friends. There are people whose streams I watch who literally have not done a flight sim stream in I don't know how long. And for me, the point is, hey, like, I know them as a friend now, and that's way more meaningful and important to me than going, oh, well, why don't you, like, do flight sim streams now? Because they would be, like, so cool if you could. Like, they're my friend. If they decide not to do flight sim streams anymore, and I like hanging out with them, I don't see a problem with this scenario. Like, it's just what it is. So, bam. If people see me stream Truck Sim or Assetto Corsa or do cooking and they go, oh, like, you're not streaming Flight Sim anymore? Unfollow. It's like, hey, nothing but love for you. I hope you find another person that provides the kind of content that you want to see. But I'm going to flat out say it. I'm going to most likely continue to be a variety streamer in the sense that not every single thought is going to go to, I wonder what flight sim stream I can do today. No, it just isn't. But there we go. Now, I do need to replace this material because it needs to be different. Runway decals. I'm gonna name it master surface layer, and it should only need to be one. So 2 right, 4 left, master surface layer. The point of the master surface layer is to just have a base for this to build from. Kev, I gotta tell you, I will tell you this flat out right now. Here it is. Here's my hot take, okay? If all you did was show up 2 or 3 nights a week and you streamed talking about building your flight sim setup and hanging out and doing stuff, there's a pretty good chance I'd still stop by and say hello, even if you were only on for about a half an hour. Like, you don't even have to fly to flight sim. I would come and say hi. That's about it. There are some people that I miss that aren't an active part of the community anymore. And I think also, quick public service announcement. If you don't want to stream anymore, cool. If you want to move on to other things, fantastic. But don't think if we're friends that if you decide to suddenly stop streaming, like, I'm gonna say bye to you. Now, I mean, there's certain content that's not my favorite, like if you want to become the world's best Diablo streamer, I'm not here to tell you how to live your life. my my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ has a blueprint and pattern for my life that I want to share with everybody. Not everybody's going to believe the same way I will, but it's up to you. You know, like if you're going to stream certain games, there's certain games that I prefer not to view. Like I'm not going to go watch someone play Counter-Strike Go or League of Legends necessarily. But if my friend Kev decides he wants to become a really good Counter-Strike Go player, then that is going to sway my viewing a little bit because I think I'm going to hang out with him for a bit. Now, the natural limitations of something like CSGO, League of Legends, Dota, whatever you want to call it, there's certain things that you have difficulty doing on certain kinds of streams. You can make Flight Sim a talk show because essentially it's what it is. If you do trucking, it's a little bit difficult to look at chat sometimes, but it's doable. If I'm playing Formula 1 2023 and I'm in the middle of a heated race, I'm probably not going to be looking at chat too much, but I will look at chat when I get my chances. Thank you, Kev. Really appreciate that. Now, what did I say? I think I said Asphalt Generic 3. So let's go ahead and put that down. And I think that should be the same as what I had for the master surface layer for 2 left 4 right. For the run, I'm not the master surface layer, the runway, the actual runway. Actual runway is Asphalt Generic 3, which makes it look correct. And I'm probably going to create a slight variation, so slightly brighter or darker than the coloration that I had for this one. Also, because I like to put layers on this, I'm not going to go with, I'm not going to go with the ground merging, which is usually applied to textures. That made 0 sense to me. It's extremely difficult to look at it while racing. It's not impossible. I will look at people's, like chats in chunks, but at the same time, I think it also depends on the kind of racing. Because Assetto Corsa, the Japanese highway racing thing that I was doing a little while ago, you can join racers that have no traffic. So it's just you, the other racers, and like open road. So theoretically, it would be easier for you to look at chat that way. But that's a topic for another stream. I will say, I completely get that. So let me hide the surface and look at this. Yeah, because I said I wanted to paint this slightly differently. Now, I'm probably going to apply some lived-in textures to this like I did before. But the first thing I want to do is do coloration. Let's do coloration. Let's do like... Let me think. What makes sense? A darker runway or a lighter runway? I think a slightly lighter runway makes sense. The only corollary or opposite point of view to that is, I'm guessing this runway was either resurfaced or redone completely after they did a whole bunch of work here. Because based on those satellite pictures, it did look like it was closed down for a while. They probably remade this. So I'm going to make this darker than this runway here, because this runway gets a lot more traffic, probably has a lot more dirt and grime and oil and stuff on it, which means there's a lot more cooking of materials on it, which probably produces graying, fading, and a whole bunch of stuff. So I think somewhere between 65 and 72 probably be a good count for this. And I'm going to go ahead and run with that. So let's save that. And that's the base layer. But there's more than one layer here, and I'm probably going to add some more stuff. I wish there was a way to adjust where the center lines were actually placed, but at the same time, I'm not going to worry about that too much. I'm probably going to crib some decals from, I think, oh, you know what I want to do? I'm probably going to create some new ones because this needs to make sense. That's the master surface layer, and I think I'm going to create a decals folder. But first thing we're going to do is we're going to add another apron, which is going to represent the additional decal we're going to add. So we're going to put just a teensy bit of runway touchdown action right by the touchdown points. So I'm probably going to stretch out these two ends. To about here, and then I'm going to duplicate that and put that on the other end. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to increase the priority to make sure this always shows up over the runway. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to the material editor and we're going to look at Asobo decals. So we're going to look for not asphalt patches, that adventure is done, but we're going to look for tire tracks. Okay, tire tracks 1 and tire tracks 2. Tire tracks 2 makes a lot more sense to me because this is a lighter trafficked runway. I'm assuming because there's not a lot of GA traffic that comes here. If somebody can give me evidence to the opposite, then we will definitely go with the meteor touchdown points. But let's roll with this for now. Texture rotation. What do we have? Probably 144. And you can manually override it. Oh, that's fantastic. Can you do point something? Yes, you can. All right. Now, 143.5.432. 1. Let me go ahead and offset this because we've had problems with these lines not being perfect before. Oh, also, it doesn't look like we can actually do that, but we'll try a little experiment. No. It's in single integer units. Integer. Dad jokes inbound. And no, I did not do that well in college in math courses. It was not a good time. So we will relabel this. I'm going to call this. We're going to add this to a decals folder for 1. Runway decals. And now that we have that, we're going to relabel this. And what did we say? Runway dirt. 2 right, 4 left. Runway dirt. Maybe I will add some audible alerts so that you guys can play them. Might have to look into that for funskis. Now let's offset this vertically some more. I think we might have to go with 142 because that's beginning to bother me. Yes, actually, this will do. This will do nicely. Do I want touchdown markings that far off center line? I think I do. And we're going to do some fall off. 1 meter, 2 meters, 5 meters. 5 meters off each side looks pretty good. Pretty realistic. They look a little overbearing in one sense, but I'm not terribly concerned. It's like, Digi, it's not perfectly on center. It's okay. A lot of landings aren't. Now, am I picky about texture placement? You better believe I am. But at the same time, I'm okay with a little imperfection. So let me keep going. That's actually pretty good. I'm probably going to duplicate this on the other end because I'm lazy. And we're going to add another layer. I think this might need to be layer 2, but I'm not worried about that just yet. We will label this runway dirt 1, and then we're going to duplicate this and make runway dirt 2, which is going to go down the other end. So we'll go ahead and take this and then put this down here. And if we really wanted to be persnickety about tire track placements, we could probably put some, you know, as you merge onto the taxiway, because you might squill the tires a bit. Let's do this texture offset. That's a lot better. And that's good. Maybe a little bit, a touch more towards center. Yeah. And I could probably even put a more faded center up above it. So let's do this. Let me experiment with something. We're going to try doing something a little bit different. I'm going to take a look at the other runway for inspiration, and then we're going to figure out what we're going to do. So to me personally, this is actually pretty good for touchdown markings, and a lot of the rest of the runway is kind of messy. But I might come back to that later, and I might actually add even more faded touchdown markings. And considering how long this runway is, and considering what kind of traffic touches down, I'm going to experiment with something right now. We're going to duplicate this, we're going to pull it out, and then we're going to extend this for about maybe the length of the runway, just for funsies. Just for funsies, because I want to see something. I want to see something. We're going to blend this in more. We're going to make this more transparent. We're going to first tile this down to about 30. Okay, for about 60. Okay, so 35. Wait. What about 17? 20. Okay, it's going to look a little bit different, and it's going to be blended in. So we're going to have, we're not going to have touchdown marks that are as pronounced, but we are going to have touchdown marks, and that, I think that should work with the placement nicely. Also, we're going to increase the fall off significantly, and that's going to add a little variation to the dirt. What tool? Believe it or not, this is the default bone stock SDK inside of MSFS directly. I am working with their own textures, so I consider this fair use, and I am working inside the sim right now. So we're actually at the airport in the sim, and then I use Blender to create the 3D objects. And I've tried, and I actually succeeded slightly using a different, I think it's like, wait, let me find the folder on my computer. I can tell you really fast. There's a program that I use for trying to build PBR textures, and it's called Materialize. Materialize version 1.78. And I forget where I got it from, but it was a program somebody literally created for building PBR textures. I have a lot to learn about that kind of stuff, but at the same time, I used it enough to create some custom PBR textures for some of the objects that I put in, at Plymouth Municipal Airport, an airport that I certainly need to get back to working on. Hint, Digi. But at the same time, I'm grateful for a community that hasn't completely, dumped me by the wayside and said, "You suck, bye." But if somebody comes in like a good friend in chat and says, "You suck, you take too long, I'm unfollowing you," that'll be a great roast. I appreciate it when I don't take myself too seriously, and when people don't take me too seriously. I like that. I think genuine friendship. You sometimes you come along with a good backslap, and you make people feel special, welcome, wanted. We certainly need more of that these days. I am, believe it or not, very much pleased with this. I like how the textures are kind of blended in. Only problem is they're still a little too bright, so we're gonna make them a little bit more transparent. Just visible enough so you get the idea that somebody might have said, "Oh, we've got this landing," and touches down like halfway down the runway, because it's a thing. I know I've done that. Not you, Digi, especially me. Especially me. Okay, so the offset's a little bit crazy, but you know what? This kind of works in my favor, because it almost looks like people are either way left of center or way right of center. And honestly, I'm okay with that. Now, here's the question. Do I want edge markings on this runway? Let me experiment with something. I'm going to take the edge markings off. So, 2 to right, 4 left, markings, edge markings, none. And I don't know, that might work, that might not work. I didn't see edge markings IRL. I don't know. And I appreciate the encouragement, friend. So let me actually keep the edge markings off for now, and then probably get way better feedback from the crowd once I start putting this out on flightsim.to. And I don't know, maybe I'll put some preview versions out there for a few special selected friends of mine. Stay tuned. But certainly trying to make this look better. Okay, so enough messing around with the runway. Let's get back to the textures. Runway dirt texture actually looks good to me, and we'll keep it there. Now, the last thing I want to do is to apply a general kind of yuckiness to the runway. So we're going to add some more runway dirt. This is decals 1. This will be the final layer on top of the apron. So we're going to focus on this runway. We're going to add another apron, and then we're going to apply it in general all over. And it doesn't have to be perfectly aligned to the edge. In fact, we're going to deliberately cause it to be slightly off the edge, because we're going to take advantage of the fall off a little bit. Maybe not that much, but you are going to get the feeling that somebody has actually used this runway. In my very first payware release, I did absolutely none of that stuff. So I might actually redo that runway. Redo that airport. And I'm talking about Whiskey 904, which is the private airport by Williamsburg, Virginia. I want to say Newport News, but I think that's actually Williamsburg. It is not a publicly used airport. That's all I have to say about that. And we're going to replace that with a Sobo Decals 1, I think. There we go. Boop. Okay, and this is really grungy. Man, that runway does not brush its teeth. Oh, gotta get rid of that. Excuse me. And boop, shake that red dot off. And what do we have? I need to see the runway dirt. It is custom colored with a 53-ish coloration. Actually, that's 53 exactly what it is. So we'll go back to here, and we will go back to here, slap it in runway decals, and call this 22 right, 4 left. This is actually runway dirt. And... oh, why'd I do that? Runway decals. Runway decals. This is actually runway dirt, not the other ones. The other ones are tire marks. Run, Digi, run! I wasn't a fast runner. There was a point when I tried running on a treadmill for a while to get in shape. Bad idea. I gave myself shin splints, I think. Or at least I got pretty close to it. So, long distance running and me, I don't know. Complicated relationship at best. So we're going to call this... what do we call those? Oh, right. Landing tire marks 1, and 2, and 3. Landing tire marks 1, 2, and 3. Speaking of long distance, I spent some time offline today doing a run in Euro Truck Sim. I was in France delivering some things, and I decided I wanted to drive for a little while because I wanted to build up the things for my... oh, wait a minute, this is tire marks. I have a lot of garages and I wanted to actually get them to a place where they were making more money by adding more drivers and more trucks. So, I was having fun with that. Euro Truck Simulator 2 is beginning to become a bit of a career management sim for me. Okay, so we need to adjust the rotation. And with this, I probably don't need to think too hard about dirt placement. And what was the scaling for that? Ooh, 114. Interesting. So if I do that, what happens? Oh, it gets way ickier. So I think somewhere between 114 and like 50 should be good. ETS stream when? I think maybe this Friday. ETS or ATS? It'll probably be a trucking stream, unless I get into this more, which is always possible. You never know. So let's see. What's this like? I can really tell this runway's been lived in. That's for sure. I don't know. I kind of like this. This looks way more like something's either wrong with the runway, like it's cracking or whatnot, so bigger decals are probably going to work better for me. And I think 48 should be just fine. So now we have a bunch of landing marks. If you know where to look for them, you'll see the other touchdown marks. Actually, I can probably dress these up a little bit more, make them a little bit more obvious, not much though. I think like 150 something. Notifications for remain in the on position. I appreciate that, friends, so much. Thank you. Thank you. And again, folks, you know, thanks for stopping by today. If you're lurking, I appreciate you lurking. You're boosting the algorithm, so thank you so much for that. If you want to, you're always welcome to follow. Every once in a while, I do put out the occasional Discord invitation. Mine's more like a Disney Vault kind of thing. I only invite certain times under certain circumstances, and I, you know, manually moderate the Discord server myself. If you feel so moved, you can follow. I'll also gladly take subscriptions, cheers, and donations, but never assume that those are required. They're always appreciated. I would.
Good evening, ma'am. How are you? I'm doing good.
Long term, full time, but we'll take it a step at a time first. Pudo Aviation, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the Digi fam. Appreciate you having you here. Professional lurker. Nice. Thank you. Thanks for saying hello. Appreciate you coming on alert to say hey. We're working at Lafayette Regional Paul Fournet Field in Louisiana. This is like a couple of hours northwest of New Orleans by car. Actually, at least a couple of hours, and probably about a 45-minute, 30-minute jaunt by commuter plane. So I'm using updated Bing imagery to dress up this airport because I've flown into here twice in the sim, and to me it just looked way too default for its own good. This place needs to be built up, and part of what I'm doing is actually laying the groundwork right now to make this place become a much better, much more enjoyable experience for anybody coming in. So let me go ahead and buff this up a bit, and I think 42 might work out. Thank you so much. Appreciate you stopping by, and thanks for lurking. Again, I appreciate my lurkers. I definitely appreciate folks that say hi in chat, and I wish you a very good evening and a restful sleep. Take care, and God bless you. Meanwhile, I think this runway is actually done. I don't think this runway has any centerline lighting. I wouldn't expect it to, or at least I didn't see anything to the affirmative for that. Also, it doesn't have much in the way of markings, but now we've kind of reopened it for public use. Now, do I want the master surface layer to be this dark? I don't know. Maybe a little bit brighter? Hey, white? No. Not that new. So probably somewhere, I think somewhere like right about there should do it. I'm going to assume there's a very good chunk of people that actually do land GA planes here, including some biz jets, maybe some really small ones, like a Vision Jet or a Phenom 100. Because how long is this runway actually? 22 left is... I'm sorry, 22 right is a little bit over 4,000 feet, almost 4,100 feet. This is a kind of chunky. Yeah, you could probably put a Phenom 100 down on this. Maybe even a Learjet 35. Probably a Learjet 35. So, yeah, that works. Okay, this is good. This is good. I like this. I like this. So, let me close up the aprons section. We've got the runway down. And yeah, so far so good. What I probably need to do next is start thinking about how to attack the layouts for the taxiways and everything where everything's supposed to go. I can probably start from the southern end or the western end of the airport. So, oh wait, excuse me. Yeah, exactly. The southern end of the airport by the cargo terminal. So all this is flattened with the exception of some trees, which I've trimmed out. So what I can probably do is to build out these areas where I see like either concrete. It looks like concrete. It looks like kind of like cracked concrete, but I'm gonna dress it up. I'm gonna pretend they hired me to resurface the entire airport, which is exactly what I intend on doing. And then we're going to add all the markings. I'm going to try my hand at actually creating lanes for vehicular traffic to run on, and we'll see what we can do. I don't know if it's going to work the way that I hope it does, but we'll learn together. So what I'm probably going to do for a start is to create some very basic layers for textures and whatnot, and we'll do it in pieces. So we're going to eventually cover everything, and then we'll start working on laying down the groundwork for taxi lines and paint them by hand, and then potentially even lay out the taxiway lights by hand. I'm not sure how complicated this is going to be, but I'm not too worried about it. Don't want to get afraid of actually finishing the project, because I do want to finish the project. I want to continue to do that correctly. I will probably only be on for another, I'd say, half an hour to 45 minutes, because I think eventually I'm going to want to start thinking about cooking. No cooking stream tonight, but I also want to, tune down, catch up with Mrs. Digi, maybe make some dinner, and then rest and have fun saying hi to one or a few folks in chat if they stream tonight. I'm looking forward to seeing my friend Pierluck stream tonight. If you guys do not know who my friend Pierluck is, I will give you a link to go to on Twitch. He is a longtime friend of the channel, and somebody who has been out for a little bit, and whom I'm very curious to see stream again this evening. So if you don't know my friend Pierluck, go ahead and check the channel out. Give them a follow. They put out some nice content. They like to fly a lot, and I like to hang out. So there we go. Back to the course at hand. All right. What I can probably do is start to create aprons for surfaces. And what I'll do to keep things simple is just create aprons that are directly related to runway traffic. One-click place it. We'll start actually putting these things down, and we can do this. We can do that, and I'm going to do the best I can. I'm not going to guarantee precision apron placement. In fact, I'm almost going to encourage a little bit of messiness, because IRL, you're probably not going to have construction companies put down, asphalt or concrete in an utterly, impeccably perfect manner. There's going to be a human factor involved. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and we will call this runway 4 right, ingress, egress 1. And then we'll start doing this pretty much all over the place, and I might duplicate this and redo it, but it's going to take a lot of doing, so I'm not going to duplicate this at all. I will probably... Actually, you know what? I'm going to leave that alone. We'll call this full length ingress, egress. And that's a pretty descriptive title. Now, I'm probably going to make this, Asphalt Generic 3 as well. And I'll try to color match. Not that I think it matters much. Actually, it looks like it does. What's the color? It's 55. And I don't necessarily know if I want ground merging. We'll figure it out as we go. We can always add it back in. You can just toggle it. But I'm going to want to make sure these are as color matched as possible. And I would say this is actually pretty good, more or less. I might change the textures for the runway, but I'm not worried about that right now. And we're going to make a new group for this, and we'll call it taxiways. And there we go. And now we have full length ingress egress right here. And then we're going to add probably this. This is going to take a little bit. So let me think. I might keep the concrete overlay that's on this I might, or I might not. I might make it all asphalt, or maybe there's a reason why there's actual concrete here. Correct me if I'm wrong, chap, but I'm guessing different surfaces lend to different weight tolerances. So, assuming this is a well-trafficked taxiway, or a taxiway that's used by, I don't know, regionals that don't go through here that much, they might actually want that. So let me think. I'm going to work on pieces that I can fix up really quickly. So let's go here first. Let me add like maybe 2 or 3 more taxiways, and then we'll call this a street. So click one, click placing, put this down, and then we're going to start putting down some very basic aprons for taxiways. And what I might do to make this easier on myself is to add some fall off so that you can kind of see where the dirt starts getting into the asphalt in one sense. And then once we get to a place where things are relatively straight, I can really just kind of pour it on and let it run, let it go. That's pretty good. Well, I do like sometimes, you know, having an idea that comes along and somebody bounces off and says, oh, hey, that's something I can put to use. Speaking of which, one of our friends, Tabletop Android, who's also a streamer and has aspirations towards doing scenery dev himself, suggested I look into a GLTF or model file exporter for newer versions of Blender. I was using Blender 2.8 something for I don't know how long, and I finally switched to 3.1, or at least I will be switching to 3.1 very soon. And I saw that there was a GLTF exporter for Blender 4.2.x or something like that. So I may be jumping to an even newer version of Blender in the not too distant future. We'll see. I mean, you know, I want to get back on good footing, and getting back on good footing also means having a pretty consistent schedule, which, Lord willing, I feel like I'm probably going to be getting back to very soon. That's the hope, at least. These taxiways might present a little bit of an interesting gambit, because it looks like, at least on the surface, some of these taxiways may not be in use anymore, or whatever the image was that I used for Bing was when they were going between, I guess, taxiway layouts. So I'll see what happens. And if you are curious at all about how this project got started and you want to see it from the beginning, you're welcome to look at past VODs on my channel. I don't know if I have every single VOD, but I had VODs when I was working on scenery development for other airports as well. Just keeping you guys in the loop. I still might want to finish Ocean Isle Beach Airport, which is Odell Williamson Municipal Airport, but I ran into a major problem with the FBO that I was working on. For some strange reason, the front of the building got really messed up, because I think I either used too many polygons in the windows, or I placed them too weirdly, and it got to a point where I just kind of threw up my hands and I said, I'm done. Like, I got frustrated. I walked away for a while. I'm actually glad I did, because I don't know if I would be doing this today, right now, if I was like trying to force it to look good. Like, you know how you get when you're trying to finish a project, and you're just like trying to get every last bit and detail down. It just got to a point where I was just like, like I'm done. But they do last for a little while. I think by default, affiliates get like a 14-day period. I got to the point with my affiliate status, or the number of years I was streaming, where I guess they either grandfathered me in or kept me locked into a longer period of VOD retention, or something else. But mine are usually there for a little bit longer than a couple of weeks. I want to say, at least. So we'll take ground merging and we'll enable coloration, and we'll make this somewhere around the 50s for color. Maybe like 51. And there we go. And that's one taxiway. And let's see if I can find another cheapo taxiway to build to close out today's stream. And again, this will not be the only time I'll be doing this. I will be streaming, or I will try to stream throughout the week, but it will be no audio streams. Twitch Turbo also extends VOD retention. That's interesting. Nice. I mean, I think Twitch Turbo gives you a long time to retain your VOD, so not that I'm gonna get it, but I'm tempted. So what do we call this? I'm gonna call this... Actually, I can call this Runway Bravo. I'm sorry, Taxiway Bravo. So I'll do that. Excuse me? Right here. So Runway 29er. Or I can do 22 left, 29er, Taxiway Bravo. You're good, man. When you can. So there we go. That is... You know what? I might just make that a lot easier to write down. So I'm going to say 4 right. Full length ingress egress. And what taxiway is that? I don't know, actually. I'm probably going to call it Juliet, but there's got to be a different designator for it. I'll say taxiway Juliet for now. Taxiway Juliet, but that's fine. Okay. 30 or 60 days with Turbo. Separating people from their money. Okay. Do I want to build more today? I do, but... Let me think. Do I want to keep going to 6:30? Yeah, because it'll give me a chance to actually build these taxiways out. And which ones are these? These are taxiways Charlie and Delta. And Charlie and Delta are very stubby asphalt taxiways, so that's fine. Let's go ahead and do that then. And this is one-click placing. Here we go. And I can probably keep this all in focus. This is great, because this will help me to... This will help me to get my stuff in more easily. right about here should be good. So I think we can easily build taxiways Delta and Charlie, at least the asphalt for the egress portions. And then we will probably call it for today. I've been thinking more and more about how I'd feel if I did this for a living, but I think I've gotten a little bit more common sense over the past couple of weeks. I think the first thing that I want to do to even consider that is to do this with extensively more consistency than I have over the past several months. And once I do that, and once I get a very good habit going, then I can think about whether or not this is actually going to be a full-timer. Okay. So, take away one-click placing for now. Call this 1129 Taxiway Delta, which is what I believe it is. Actually, this is Charlie. We'll call this Charlie, and we will apply the same asphalt generic 3 with the same kind of coloration. And that should take care of that one. Okay, generic 3, no ground merging, coloration, in the 50s. Even 55 or 56. Yeah, I think I'm going to be going through my subscriptions as well in the near future. I'm not talking about Twitch. I'm talking about like other services that I subscribe to. Because I can use that money that I spend on things that I don't even use, and I can apply it to something else. So let me go ahead and make a new one for Taxiway Delta. And let's go. Actually, one thing that I forgot to do with all these taxiway placements is the fall off for the texture bleed through or bleed over. And in case you weren't here earlier and you're wondering why my ground textures look different, potentially different compared to yours for this airport, I am using the map enhancement mod. If you're curious about it, it's available online, and I believe it is this one, which you can get here. So actually, this must have been my favorite, but yeah, let me give you the actual link for it. No, that's it. That's it, actually. Or this is. No, I think it's the same link. There we go. So, yes, I use the latest Bing imagery. I could also use Google Maps if I wanted to, or some other source, especially if I'm not in the States. But I feel like this is a slight bump in terms of details without going bananas on like differences. You can use Google Maps or whatever you want. Google Maps is, in my opinion, the Samsung of satellite imagery, because some of the colors are really vivid due to maybe filter failures or differences in what's actually on the ground. And I like that because I'm the kind of person that likes seeing color and likes seeing significant details. Oh, okay. Kev, if you have to lurk, I appreciate it. And thanks very much for having me. So I can remove this, I can color this some more, and pick a similar color, and we'll call this one Taxiway Delta, because I think that's what it is. Okay, so take the one-click placing off, and then we're going to say 1129er Taxiway Delta, and that should be what's here. Great. So now we have the groundwork for those two taxiways in place. I can probably add a few more, and let's see what we can do. Let me kind of just step back and look at this from the bigger picture. Also, let me hit the build all button just so I have the latest done so far. All we've done for the past couple of weeks is work on ground markings and runways. And I don't feel bad about that at all, because for one, the work that some of the bigger scenery development studios make towards airports like this, they might spend weeks or months working on getting the layouts just right so that they actually get it done. So I'm going to continue working on this, and I'm going to see whether or not I'm going to use slightly different textures. It looks like this concrete texture is quite worn down or quite dirty. I'm almost wondering if there are a bunch of like Kodiak or Cessna Caravan cargo planes that take off on this runway and they just spilled the beans all over there. This is also a quite dirty cargo ramp, which is fantastic, which I'm probably going to try my skills at in terms of dirtying the place up. Especially if I can figure out how to offset or cover over certain layers so that I can actually make this a realistically lived-in airport. I think with that, I'm going to go ahead and cut it. Whether or not I work on this more tonight, I don't know. I mean, it's more the same, so I don't necessarily feel the need to stream all of it in terms of groundwork. And then eventually, once most of the groundwork is done and I decide where the taxiways are going to go to do all the things, then I'm going to probably work on taxiway lines and figure out where the layouts go, all this. But it's going to take me a little bit to wrap my head around exactly how the layout should go here. And maybe I'll go in one direction versus another. I know I'm not going to get it perfect. I know it's going to be at least a little bit messed up, but that's okay. It's almost a relief, because this is going to be a good representation of Lafayette Regional. It's not going to be, a brick for brick perfect replica. If that's what you were looking for, I am not the guy to watch. I'm just doing my best. But I feel happy. We got runway 22 right and 4 left built. We started adding a few taxiways in terms of ground aprons, and then we're going to continue working on this, and we're going to see what I can do the rest of this week. If you are new to the channel and you're wondering if I have a Discord, I'm actually going to open up the Discord tonight in case you guys want to join. Like I said, I don't put the invites out very often. I don't have a Discord command for a reason. I like to keep more of a control on the community because I'm persnickety like that. But that also means that I do my best to engage with the community and really pay attention and, listen to your conversations and do things like that. So let me go ahead and grab my Discord rules page link so you guys can see it. And what that means is when you join my Discord, there's a rules page. I want you to take a look at that. And there'll be a thumbs up icon you can click on so that you can say you've accepted the rules, and then you can become a part of the community, get additional post access privileges, and then become a part of the daily discussion. We talk about scenery dev, we talk about life, I talk about my personal faith in God through Jesus Christ, and we talk about sometimes silly and funny things there, actually probably more than once. So you're welcome to join and to say hi over there, and I moderate that personally. Folks, I think it's going to go ahead and do it for me. I will leave the VOD up as I have the others, and we will continue to make progress with this airport. Hopefully, I'm shooting for a end of year release, depending on how much work needs to get done on the taxiways. I'm probably not going to dress up the grounds too much, and I'm going to try to see what the airport looks like with different satellite sources. I'm going to bounce back and forth between the default Bing imagery and the enhanced Bing imagery. Maybe also look at Google Maps as well and consider whether or not I need to add additional ground coverings or texture markings here, so that if there's something that's blatantly out of place, it won't be significantly off the mark in terms of what needs to be there. But thank you very much for stopping by. I am going to call it a wrap. If I do this tonight, it's going to be off stream. Look for additional no audio streams probably in the next 2 to 3 days. Tomorrow's going to be Tuesday. I might do a no audio stream on Tuesday and Thursday, or I might do one on Tuesday, I might do one on Wednesday, I might do one on Thursday, but they're going to be short streams, probably about an hour or less each time. Texas Flyboy, thanks for stopping in. Iowa Scotsman, good night to you as well. And folks, like I always like to say at the end of every stream, if you want true peace, you want the Prince of Peace, and that's Jesus Christ. Take care, friends, and until next time, we will see ya.